All right, here we go. So one fun thing I actually found out the other day, or this morning rather, was that apparently in one of the recent updates to the VR headset, Meta improved the camera quality, which is huge for me. I'm not sure if I may have noticed by accident. I was noticing that the quality on the headset for my OCR was really good, and I mean, I think I did improve things on my end, but I think also just things are better on the headset, which actually means in my test suite, I wonder. I don't know if I've grabbed new images recently. I mean, I did grab one set of images recently for the test suite, so now I wonder, since that scored better, I think that most recent random capture I did scored a 96. I wonder if that's actually. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so maybe that's because of the headset improving quality. I mean, because every test scenario I had up until then didn't score that well, so it could be that. Could be luck, and could be just my code improving things. But no, now that I say it out loud, yeah, like it seems like maybe the fact that that scored a 96, that's the best test case. Actually, how are the test cases doing right now? I don't think I've run them recently. Let's run the tests. I usually run them, I just merged code, and I usually run them before I merge every code, just in case something breaks. This shouldn't matter though. So if I run tests, that should do a Windows build. And then let me see while I'm doing that. Yeah, streaming OCR text to VR. So this was the goal from last stream. This is still what we're doing. Rendering individual words got done. Compute line metrics, doing that. I think I'm going to change the order here. So I merged that code we did last time, and you know, it's not perfect. There's some bugs, but I think it was good enough, and I just kind of want to move on to new things. So I do want to render a B-box around the book, but hey, let's just do something different today, and let's actually do the OCR chunking. I think once this is done, and then optionally once this is done, I think then everything will be pretty solid and stable that I can move on to making the experience actually doing the thing that I've always said it will do, which is matching the scene and the soundscape to the content of the book that you're holding in your hands. With these two done, things should be readable. Like the book text in your hand should feel natural and readable once I do these two things. So let's go with that and kick that off. How's the test suite doing? Failures. Well, that's not good. If we go and look, so this is the composition layer. I'm not going to do this for now. Different approach to chunk image for OCR. I may actually be pulling this forward today. Oh, no. This is like the new approach that didn't work very well. Yeah, I'm shelving this. Because I need binarization to be, not binarization, I need dewarping for this to stand a chance of working. So that's shelved. Okay, so this. Is that the last test one? This one I didn't do. Let's check out HUD. No, darn. Those two. What is this one? 33. Oh, so this is 33. The HUD didn't do anything either. Okay. So according to the last time we ran tests, a line frame should be about a 78. And it's a 70. Let me run it again real quick with a skip. Yeah, our best test, which again, this is the new one. So again, that might have been captured with Horizon OS version 78, I believe, is where they improved the camera quality. So that one scores best, and so that might be the reason why that's scoring a little bit better. So align frames should be about 78, which it's very much lower. Good was 81. That's basically 80, so we lost a point there. Our average score, 79.7. Our average score went up, 81.7. And timing is about the same, 3 seconds for these two. So these two are, this is slightly better, this is the same. Okay, so maybe there's just some noise, and this one's off by a tiny amount. This one, who knows, maybe if I go look at it, maybe I don't know, change the cropping ever so slightly or something like that. But this is still 74.9 or 94.9, so that didn't change. Huh, this is now magically a 70. That's interesting. Okay, well, anyway, I'm not going to worry about it. I do need to remember to run the test suite from time to time, because if I accidentally break things, I'd rather know it now than finding out later. So, I don't want to do it, but at some point I should set this up for CI/CD with GitHub, so that when I open a PR, do I have an open PR? Let's see here. Fine, this one that I'm not going to do. The checks that we would have like down here, it would fail if the tests are failing or something like that. I could create a threshold. Maybe I could create like a warning threshold versus a failing threshold, but that's a bunch of work that I don't feel like doing right now. Can I tag this? I don't need tags. I know what these all are. Although some of these things I have to throw away. This probably isn't needed anymore all the way back from April, this backup. Failing. Yeah, so this was like running on an older version of Godot. So I should be able to just trash that. Stereo images I may want to pull in soon. This may actually be trashable now. Hold on. Let's see here. So I pulled this over. Yeah, render text per word bbox. Okay, fine. Render text per word bbox. All right, so I believe this can be closed. Different approach to chunk image from OCR. Yeah, that is going to be tabled. We had a comment here. Let me see here. So this approach won't work unless we have good quality dewarping. And then the render text per word. Hold on, just clicking some things here. Okay. I think I pulled over everything I needed from this. Yeah. Yep, and I pulled this file down. Okay, so this is done. It just got pulled in piecemeal in a way, like refactored and rewritten. So let's close it and delete the branch. Cool, so that's gone. So that we're not doing. This we might pull in eventually. This didn't work for some reason. I don't know if it's my version of Godot or something, but it just totally failed. So I would like to do composition layers at some point, but just not doing it for now. Also, all the code I did in the last like 2 sessions was all because of that. All right, moving on. So, oh yeah, so what are we doing here? Let me refresh this page. Text formatting, right? Yep, this was all the is indented, is new paragraph, is title. So that's all finally done. Took longer than I expected. Improve feedback on detection. Oh, I need to do this because, like, for whatever reason, every time I test now, it just says the book's too far away, and I don't know why. So it could be turning down the sensitivity a little bit. But also, maybe I can improve the messaging so that I know. And I can do that for just testing purposes and then turn it down later. But, like, so that way I know, like, it should be clear why is it not OCRing right now. Render box around book. Yep. Here. This is what we're doing. Okay. So I thought I had, let me see if I can find it. I thought I had a ChatGPT session. That, or Claude, that I had architected this out a bit. All right, this is all composition layer, right? Yeah, close that. Everything was running fine the other day, blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah, this is the one where I was trying to debug why the app was broken. And it ended up being the composition layer, I think. But I don't know, it sent me down a rabbit hole, and I figured out pretty quickly this approach was just wrong. And then what do we got here? What was this? This is chop into chunks and OCR HP separately. Yeah, so this is right, but oh yeah, horizontal projection. This is that approach. Yeah, that's not gonna work. And what did I have here? Oh, this is YOLO V8. I'm not doing that right now. And then what is this? Oh, this is a breakdown of the D-warp logic. What was this? D-pixel. Oh, right. I wanted to see about this approach and how did they do this? Like depixelate something, because in many ways it is like that, improving of using multiple frames to improve image quality, but I don't care about that right now. And then all right, so then Claude, OpenCV, all right, let me look at these real quick. I don't know, I don't want to have to, I mean, I guess I could just go down the path of recreating it. No. Fine, you know what? Let's do a new chat. code dot. Let me go grab the code, and I just need a quick little refactor. And I could probably figure out a lot of it on my own, to be fair. All right, we're not caring about Hawker XML right now. What we care about is in book scanner. So here's what we're doing. Oh, interesting that I did 10%. I could have sworn I was going to do 15. But okay, let's start with this. So I guess what I could do is I could do the crops, each of them in a row, and build a list of matte images. And then call extract text grayscale once. And then the goal is here. Yeah, extract text grayscale. I gotta remove some of these older methods that aren't needed. Okay, so there was a way to... I really wish I could search my Claude history, because it doesn't really make that easy. Because I should be able to look for this. Every time I've tried using this, it doesn't find my stuff. Chunk. So why is it always fail? There's 0, like that's definitely not true. I guess it just searches the titles, which is dumb. Whatever, that's fine. Hey, Scroll, how you doing? All right, I'll just do it myself. Okay, so there's a number of ways I could do this. I know there is a way to, well, let me ideate on this with Claude instead of, I mean, I have my own thoughts, but all right. I have the below C++ logic in a GD extension for Godot 4.5. I am currently chopping up an image into multiple slices and calling this function multiple times to speed up and stream the OCR text back to the UI. What are your thoughts on a better architecture for this? Let's start by just discussing options. No coding yet. All right. When to play Forza Motorsport, but my game keeps crashing and launching. That sucks. There are several architecture patterns you could consider for better performance and user experience. Your slice and process approach is actually quite smart. Yeah. Flatter me, why don't you? But there are some potential inefficiencies. Multiple API initialization overhead. No, we're not initializing the API multiple times. We're calling it once. The API is already initialized, so I don't know what you're talking about there. That's wrong. Redundant processing of overlapping text regions. Correct. But I can't get around that. That's what that other process was. That other... This different approach to chunking images, that would solve that, but it would only solve it if everything's perfectly aligned and there's like white space and gaps in between each line of text and an image, which the only way I can do that is dewarping, and dewarping is slow as sin. And so for now, I'd rather just deal with the redundant processing than anything else. Tesseract context switching costs. That's interesting. Batch processing with results streaming. Process multiple slices in a single Tesseract context. Yeah, I mean, I guess I could do that. I mean, I guess the one thought would be, I don't want to work the CPUs too hard, but I could multi-thread this and have multiple Tesseract threads running in parallel. And that would overall make things faster for like how quickly the entire page shows up. It wouldn't speed up time to first text on display. So it wouldn't speed that up. And it would work the hardware harder. And it would be more architecturally complicated. So I just don't know if that's really worth it. Is the juice worth the squeeze there? Multiple images without reinitializing. Stream results back as each slice completes within the... Yeah. Stream results back as each slice completes within the batch. Yeah. Yep. So he's saying if you do batch processing with result streaming, we would share Tesseract context for multiple slices. And then we would also use Tesseract's ability to process multiple images. Okay, I knew this because when I was doing this whole like get Hawker text 0, it's getting page 0 of the results. Which at one point I thought, I was like, oh, cool. Like it's smart enough to know that there are 2 pages of text in the same image, which it's not. It's not doing that. You can feed it. There are certain document types that you can feed where it's like multiple images in the same file object. And in that case, it does separate them, processes them separately, and then you can kind of iterate over them and pull them back one at a time. So I think that's what this is saying. Stream back as each slice completes. Yep, great. Better memory management and API reuse. Hierarchical processing. First pass. Low resolution scan for text region blocks. I already do that. Second pass. Only on detected text areas. I'm basically already doing that. For sparse documents, no. We're not dealing with that. No. This is stupid. Async work. And the only reason why this is stupid is because the AI doesn't know that I'm working with books. So I already know. I don't need the low res pass. Async worker pool. Multiple Tesseract instances in a background thread. Queue-based slice distribution. In completion order. Which is a problem then, because they could complete out of order. Adaptive slicing. So dynamic slice sizing based on content density. Large slices for sparse areas, small for dense. Yeah, no. Because again, it doesn't know that I have books. The whole thing's going to be dense. It's always going to be dense text. Could use edge detection to guide slicing. I'm already doing that. Low quality OCR for immediate feedback. Follow up with high quality. No, I'm not doing that. Okay. For additional context, I am processing images of open books. I'm already throwing out images where the pages aren't flat or have too much warping. I'm also already detecting text regions and cropping down to individual pages of text. I'm doing rotation only and not deskewing, as deskew is way too slow. I am now chunking the processing from there. Does this context change your answer at all? Change your recommendations? Column-aware processing. Since book pages often have column layouts, no, they don't. These are not textbooks. In reading order, left to right, top to bottom. Even if slice 3 finishes before slice 2. Paragraph boundary slicing, no. Dual pass architecture, no. Are you processing books page by page in real time or batch processing entire books? Processing the current page the user is looking at and reading at the moment. Time to render of first line of text is the most important. Going back to your previous message. Let's see here. Seems like the best approach to accomplish that. Do you agree? Would there be a second best approach? Yeah, you're agreeing that it's the best approach, but do you actually agree, or are you just saying that because I said it's the best approach? So one thing I'm always trying to figure out with AIs is try to read them better. You're not really batching multiple images, but rather processing one page. So initialize Tesseract once per page. Queue your slices in reading order, top to bottom. Process each slice immediately and stream its result. Keep the API context alive until the entire page is done. Reading order streaming. Your current approach, but optimized. If batch processing proves complex to implement, optimize your current approach would be in reading order, reduce. How are you currently determining slice boundaries? since I can't correct for skew right now, I'm doing fixed pixel cutoffs per chunk. Basically 15%. Basically, yeah, like top 15% of the image, then next 15%, etc. Because of skew, I think I'll need to overlap the chunks a little and throw out the partial OCR line that will, of course, OCR poorly because it's cut off in the image. Thoughts on that approach with, what are you thinking? Your overlap approach is smart and necessary, blah, blah, blah. Here's how it would work well with the batch processing. Yeah, so 15% slices with 5 to 10% overlap between adjacent chunks. So first slice would be 0 to 15, 10 to 25, yeah. Deduplicate at the line level as each result stream back, yep. Compare last slice n with first slice n plus 1. Use fuzzy string matching, Levenstein distance, which I am doing already. May vary slightly between chunks. Since OCR may vary slightly, but I don't think I need to do this because a given line would OCR exactly the same way since it's the exact same image. So I should be able to just say, like, are they the same line? But sure, let's do Levenstein distance and expect 0.999 as the answer in case there is a little bit of noise for whatever reason. Keep the line from whichever slice has better confidence scores. But again, that doesn't make sense. Okay, great. Let's do it. Can you start by refactoring the existing code to accept an array of mat images to then pass into Tesseract? Fine, let's just see what it does. OCR is object character recognition. So it is taking an image and from that image detecting where, like in this case, this is showing a visualization of what it's doing. Okay, Meta, you're killing me. You need to go away. There we go. No, Meta, go away. I told you to go away. Shut down means shut down. Yeah, so then it's basically detecting text from an image is what it's doing. And I'm doing it in VR off the headset. I'll refactor your code. Approach 1. I didn't want two approaches. I just want a single approach. I don't know why. It's always so overeager to please. You'll need to implement. Okay, fine. What did you do here? What's this ugly code? If size 0 return, I don't need that. All right, so for image in them. Huh? Why is AI as they get me sometimes? It's not a Godot array. Okay, fine. This step isn't needed. Copy 2. Again, I don't need to do any of this because I already have the mats. Right, so here we go. Here's the set image. That's the same as before. Get Hawker, result. Return result. So it's basically, there's like no point in doing this then. Like it doesn't really, basically the AI did nothing to change any of this. Streaming approach. If you want results as they complete, this would require a callback mechanism or a single, okay. Again, we've got an array of CV mats, a Godot array. I don't know why we're using Godot arrays. And a Godot callable. Same logic, but then we do the callable. So what am I doing here? I'm really just calling it Yeah, by the way, I have this logic here. I don't even know if I ever needed that. Probably should rip it out. Okay, so it's slightly ugly, but this approach is still pretty good. Because, I mean, again, I guess we're saving a little bit of time by not cropping again. Because when this happens, we're already sending back a result to the front end while we do the next chunk. And then after I'm done that, I do everything. But that is a hack for right now. And we send that back. Fine. Let's change that to be an else. So this only exists now. This only exists now for local test suite. Test suite running. Just do the full thing so we can score the result. We'll do that there. There's some other experimental code here that I need to like test and retry and throw away. I wish I'd organized this slightly better, but it's fine. I know what it all does. But that's for another day. If we're running on the headset, we're not running the test suite. We'll do 3 to 5 lines of text. Okay, so I'm going to do 15% here. Instead of doing that like that, okay, fine. Let's do that as 10% to So we're going to do chunks of 15, right? 25. Let's do second. And I'm going to rapidly test this. We'll do first chunk. Chunk. First, second. So then we get extracted text and we set it and go. I'll probably do this as a loop. I should do this as a loop, but let me just start with these two. And if I can get these two working really well, then yeah, then I'll be happy. So when we do the second chunk, yeah, I mean, I guess we'll do, let me think here. Fine, we'll do extracted text too. Let's just do that for now. Okay, so after I've gotten the second one, I guess I would call, let's call it merged. This is going to be annoying. It might be annoying, but it might be okay. So, okay, fine. Let me talk this through. So, merged text equals OCR processor merge Hawker results. And we will do first, second. I'm not going to do OCR processor. I will do, see, maybe I should do OCR processor. I throw so much garbage into the camera enhancer. It probably should be here that it gets done. Okay, see, this is a Godot string that's returning. All right, so here's what I'll do. I'll say, I think actually I might keep the code the same way it is now and try a different approach. For context, here is how I'm calling that above method. Notice, let me see here. Let me think. I am now going to implement a method like this. which will handle merging the results together. Keep in mind that the results are Hawker text that looks like this. All right, where do I have testing? Yeah. So to merge them, we need to look at the top of one of them and the bottom of the other to find the OCR line that matches cleanly between the two. Can you write this method for me? That intelligently merges Hawker results by detecting and removing duplicate lines at the boundaries. Yes, you've got your empty checks and returning. I don't need any of that. Overkill. Okay, line extraction. Parse Hawker to extract individual OCR line elements. Overlap detection. Compare the last few lines. Fuzzy matching. Remove duplicate lines. Properly appends new content. Extracts just the text content from each line for comparison. Does overlap detection. Compares up to 3 lines from boundaries. Nice. So we get the first. We get the second. And then we merge them. I don't know why you're assigning merge text to the first. I guess for looping purposes. No, you'll need to add the necessary include statements. Like empty inputs, no overlap found. Okay, fine. This is a lot of code, but let's give it a shot. All right. Append Hawker content. rfind. It's even using my log statement. Okay. If overlap count is 0, which I guess it could be. Lines to add, append, fair enough. Levenstein distance, which, fine. So I don't have to port that over from another file. Normalize text. Okay. Line match. Extract line text. Find line overlap. Extract OCR lines. Yeesh, this is a lot of code. But hey, you know, let's give it a shot. And I can test this quickly. I don't need to test it on the headset because I can use my test suite, my test harness to test this. We'll just put these merging Hawker results. Put them all there by themselves. For the most part, just copy them over. And get rid of the beginning piece here. What did it say I needed as my imports? So at least regex I need. Vector I may already have. Okay, regex it's happy with. Let's do that. Should be pretty close now. Come on. Let me see here. Line match. Did I do line match? No. Normalize. Yeah, I mean, I guess these don't need to be public methods. I don't know why. Yeah, whatever. I'll refactor them later. I'll probably rip them out of the header file and just make them private to the package or to this class, like private to the class so they can be referenced locally, and that's it. There's no need to have these everywhere. All right, this might be the last one. There we go. Cool. So, can I write that to a file? What do I have here? I think if I go up, didn't I have a log statement for this? I think I did, right? Right. Oh no, this is to get the binarization. But then the Hawker results, how am I writing them? All right, let me look at the test suite. So what should happen here is This will generate a signal. This will generate a signal. And actually what I'll do for testing purposes is I'll bring this down. And now we have that. Okay, so we send the signal up. And then what do we end up with? Like OCR manager is going to have a... Let's go hide these metrics because I don't need them right now. On text scanned. So let me add a little counter here. Var test counter int 0. And then what I'll do, not text, test. Plus equals 1. Do this plus that plus plus. We'll do there. So now what I should end up with is 3 Hawker OCR results from the test suite. And then the way I'm going to run this, so I should be able to run it right now. So run tests, let's use our, hey, let's use our good kid. Let's use angle, so, well, don't want to skip, we want to build. -K angled. And if we go look at test results, well, first we'll see if the build even passes, because it might fail because I didn't do all the imports. That's the most likely failure. But no, it liked it, so I guess I didn't need them. Although, who knows, there's always the chance that it'll work on Windows, but it won't work on Android. I've had that problem too. And of course, it succeeds and passes without an issue. And the reason is because I didn't run it right. Let's get rid of this not. So now we'll do it a different way. So now we'll actually run this scenario. We didn't run it. We did the normal thing. But actually that's good. So then I can compare, I should be able to run them both quickly. And confirm that, like, when I finally do all of it, the whole image, that everything works just fine. %. I was expecting something like that. Come on, let's see. Okay, so the issue is that we didn't get multiple results. So on text scan, okay, test suite. When do we run next test? On text scanned. Right, so we run a test. Oh, if it's not the first run, we're logging the previous one. Okay, so we get the test case, we sleep for a second, we get the images, we set them. All right, so we're getting the start timer so we know how long it took. We trigger the scan. But it's the test harness, so we have to manually call OCR manager. So if I just do that, that might work. I can do a -S to skip. This might work now. There we are. And now it's hanging because it doesn't know to continue the test. Okay. But shouldn't we have had a third? We should have had 1, 2, 3. Did merging fail? All right, let me run it again. While that's running, let me look at this. I guess this doesn't really tell me much because this is just the 2 documents. Although it does tell me that the 2 documents are identical. So what the heck? Why would that be the case? And why do we not have a third file? So we take the final image, we chop it up, we start with 10%. I mean, I guess it's possible that 10% would have everything. Let me see here. So yeah, the first image has the first 3 lines and a little bit of line 4. To put it simply. This one doesn't, no. So it would be, actually, does this end up being a good thing? At least anecdotally in this case. Let's see here. That is to create, so not quite. If we went a little lower, we would have gotten the rest of this line. So then during this stage of market development would have been the overlap, the overlapping line, but we didn't get that. So this would probably fail to merge, I think. But also, why do we only get 2 files? And it's the exact same twice. Is it not actually running the whole thing properly? Maybe that's what's happening. All right, so for this, I'm going to do 0.08. Let's do that. Man, that's rough. That is like, that's big overlap, you know? I may have to make these chunks bigger. I mean, I guess this first one could be pretty small, right? Just to get the first couple lines on the page. And then these other chunks, I could make them a bit bigger. We'll have to decide. You know, 4, 5 chunks of the page, whichever makes sense. So we know that this worked for cutting this image. We then have extracted text 2. We then store that result. Then we call merge to merge them. Well, that's dumb because it's using... So that's a typo right there. Okay, this is never going to finish. Let's kill it. We'll pass those both in, we merge them, and we signal those. We know the signal's triggering twice, so yeah, let's just run it again, see what happens. I think it's gonna be the same problem. So 1, I should be seeing it happen 3 times. How quickly does it happen too, by the way? Like, is it instantaneous? So it looks like it worked this time. Because we have this, to put it simply, during this stage. All right, so we have, during this stage of market development, must be to secure a. Okay, so that has a clean line on which to merge. Can I? And we've got 3 of them. I don't know why it didn't do it before. All right, 1, 2 is there, so 1 should finish with, this is the line that we know is the same. This one's bad, we'll throw that away. They should be the same. Like, the B boxes are different. Is that going to be a problem? I just wrote a bunch of code that leverages the B box data to know how far one line is away from another. And now we're going to have a problem where it's saying this is at 30 down from the top. And this one's 70. So it's going to place it lower. This is going to be stupid. It's fine. This is fine for the moment. So interesting that I put a 3 here. Okay, so we do need Levenstein distance because they aren't going to be identical. It's interesting, like this one's like even more confident. 96s. Alright, so Hawker 3 should be, to put it simply, yeah. To secure. Is there no line? Lines don't have confidence, right? Just words. We have word confidence, but we don't have line confidence. So that looks right. So it should be this. Okay. So it works pretty good. It is adding it as a new paragraph. It's not adding everything. So really what it should be doing, it's just adding this. What is with this? Like, why is it... Why did it make those new words? That's what's weird about this. It's like, what the hell is going on here? Market that. Oh, because this made it a P. So it kept this. So it actually didn't merge them. Okay, but I got a problem anyway. I got to figure out. So the problem is the Hawker results come back. And we compute metrics. And as part of that, we look at B-box info. So I could... So, okay, I'm sure there's a simple bug here to fix the merging. Because it seems like it should be able to look at this line and this line and say that they're similar enough to then just like ignore this line and then basically delete from here to here and shove in from here to the bottom of the file. And that's all you have to do. That's all it has to do in order to do the merging. So that all should work. But then we have the B-box problem, where the B-boxes are now off. I would very much like to not be messing with these numbers and like, oh, let's go update them by fixing all the Y's. I guess we could do that. God, this is becoming a real pain in the butt. Almost to the point where I'm not sure I want to do it anymore. The amount of code necessary, the complexity. Hmm. Darn. I'm kind of stuck. What do I think about this? How is this going to work? So in theory, we're stitching together the Hawker results and throwing them back up to the front end after merger. So the front end Godot code doesn't know. Like it doesn't know where the seam is, where the seam line is between the two. I could solve this in the front end code. Where if we just set up these Hawker results by themselves and parse them by themselves and then tried to merge them, we could merge based on merge them based on two OCR lines that are very similar, and then add lines. When I create a line, get OCR line, I could pass in an offset. So I guess in theory, well, I guess when we merge them, right? What do we have here? So this is 17,110. 1730. 81. So again, the x's are the same. The y's are off. So we could just, when we go to merge and we find the line that is identical, to do the merging. So I think I might want to do this on the front end. So what if I rip out all the code I just wrote and we just do chunk send, send them up to the front end. And then when we're going to do chunk in, we parse it, create a new page, and we could, as part of the signal, tell it what part it is. And they should come in sequence, right? So it should have it as, part 1, part 2, okay, fine. And then what we do is we can then merge the two pages. See, when we create a page, so before we do this, instead of creating a new page, if it's not page 1, we would get the existing page, get the current page. So go to game state, get our current page. And then what we would do is we would look at the last 3 lines of that page. So we get along. Get OCR line. We could get the line if it's got a decent score. Look at the last 3 lines of the current page to see if it has a strong Levenstein distance with one of them. If it does, then delete all lines after that on the page. Compute the offset. Call get OCR line again, this time passing in the offset. Get OCR line. I guess we don't have to. We don't have to call it again. We can just grab the 2 B-box infos and figure out the Y difference. And then just adjust the lines B-box for that. Maybe set an offset. And then for all other lines that we're parsing through in the parser, we would just add that offset to them. Does that work? I don't like doing this in GD script because in theory, if this gets slow enough, let's be real here. The XML parsing and the building of these pages, I would feel better if those were done in the background. Because in theory, this can be causing some lag. Or it's at least eating up the main process. But doing it in the back end's a pain. I'd much rather do this in GD script and then take pieces of it and have Claude rewrite them as C++. That I would actually trust Claude to do. Every time Claude tries to come up with its own architecture and implement it, it usually does a poor job. At least for the kind of code I'm writing. Okay, so it's decided. This is how I'm doing it. So that's gone. We've got text 1, text 2. Latest result. Page text shouldn't be a thing, I don't think, but it's fine. What about page text? Where's page text even happening? Okay, so page text is the thing we're doing. Emit signal, text scanned. Which text scanned. We emit the signal there. So then latest result get latest text is a function. I don't think I'm using that anywhere, and it's kind of just a distraction. All right, fine. You know what? I'm cleaning house. Get latest text. You are gone. So has new result and latest result are both going to be gone. Has latest fine, has new result. Fine, latest result has new result. Simplify while we can, right? Good, gone. Now we're just dealing with one signal, no more nonsense. So what I will do then is page text. What are you? Where are you? Okay. Let's call it chunk count. Okay, so we got chunk count there. And then we'll do chunk count. And chunk count, I think we can initialize this to 0, right? I think I can do that. This is on a lock. Do I need to reset this to 0 right now? I had a thought a second ago thinking that I needed to because of a reason. Because when we're done, when we finally do the last thing, how do we know it's finished? All right, so fine. If we just always set it back to 0 then. Chunk count equals 0. We just always do that. So we don't have to do anything special for the final count, for the final chunk. Okay. Now I should be able to do chunk count equals 1. So it always is 0. If we get 0, 0 is not a good thing. So we'll do our first chunk. And then we'll do our second chunk. Let's do that. Let's get the ordering right here, just to be safe. Yeah. Page text, chunk, emit the signal. Now, the signal is here. Right? Text scanned. So I need to do property, right? Info. Variant. Integer. Chunk number. Let's call it chunk number. So that's text and chunk number. Do I need the signal here? Is text scanned as a signal? No. So the signal is just there. So now we have a new integer here that we have to handle. Interesting that I already had a page number, but it's page number, it's different. Fine. Let's do it all in one. Right. Fine. And let's say we always, yeah, well, we're always going to pass these. So page number and chunk number. Fine. Page number, chunk number. Let's do that. And for now, we're always going to pass 0. I think it didn't matter before because I was setting it as a default, but now I care. Fine, or we'll just do page 1. Hard coding page to page 1 for now. Just as a reminder for myself. So that'll go out. Now page number should always come in, but we shouldn't care about that. And then chunk count. Chunk num is an integer. So when I do this, I should be able to do... Okay, I'm passing page num that way. Let me pass chunk num in here. And it doesn't like that, nor should it. But I do have an init, right? I don't have an init. Let's give it an init. Chunk num. We'll do chunk num var chunk num. It's an integer. There. So now each page knows what its chunk number is. By the way, is there anything else I could pass in this way to just like initialize it cleanly? Because it's doing the current page. We add lines, we compute metrics, snip, that's it. So there's nothing else that really needed to be passed in. Actually, a page doesn't need to care about its chunk number. That was stupid. I could have written out the pseudocode for this so I didn't have to rethink about the implementation again just now. Let's get rid of that. We don't need it. So what I can do is, maybe we do care about chunk num. Okay, fine. We will care about chunk number. We'll call it current chunk number. And we can initialize it with chunk num. But what we could do is, let's actually write some pseudocode. Well, I could try to write some pseudocode. If chunk num greater than 1, we'll do game state dot how did that go? Oh, is it this? Add page. Yeah, it's just page 1. Fine. Okay, so we can do var current page like that, and then we can say current page equals game state dot page 1. Else current page, we start a new page. There. So now we'll either continue where we picked up with the last page, or we will start a new page, defaulting as our chunk. Which, come to think of it, we don't need this again. Because, right, we're always going to send 0 is bad. I'm treating it as... Should I do 0 based? I mean, everything else is 0 based. Fine. We'll set it to -1. That would actually allow me to do some error catching if I really wanted to. Chunk 0. Yeah, let's go 0 based. Might as well. Fine. Which then means I can again get rid of this. So this is where a pseudocode can help you, because it makes it easier to like work through your process. Equals 0. So I can initialize that to 0 there, and we don't need the init here. So now a new page will always be at 0 for its current chunk num. Now we have our line. If score is good. So we can do okay, so let's do var matching line is OCR line. Is an integer. And we can do current page dot find matching line. And we'll pass our line in. So this will give us an index of which line is the one that matches. So then let's do our pseudocode here. So if matching line do stuff. If we don't have a matching line, we'll do nothing, right? So we have to get a line. Let's assume it never happens that this breaks. But we got a chunk back, and there needs to be a match. It would be a problem if it didn't. If we got it back a chunk with no matching, that would be bad. I don't want to do a lot of error catching just yet. I don't want to care too much about that. But in theory, if it's a bad chunk, we would just loop forever, nothing happened. And then the chunk after that would fail, the chunk after that would fail. And we would just have the 0th chunk on the page. And then we would have to jump back into a new round of OCR. Okay. Let's do a var chunks merged boolean equals false. Chunks mergeable. Gotcha. So let's do a pass here. We would say if chunks mergeable. Fine. So if the line's got a good score and we're in a mergeable state, then we just add the line. Okay. The first time we come through, though, we won't be in a mergeable state. We will be after this method. So in this case, we would do mergeable state equals true. So the first time through, the second we find a decent line, which right now this score is very garbagey. I could make it so that like it'll find the first good line. Right now, like the first line might be like 1 or 2 words may have OCR'd, in which case it'll jump into this logic, even though it's going to be garbage and it's not going to match. Like it's not going to be a matching line. So then, but that's fine. We jump, we then skip out, we go to line 2. We get the second line through. It would score better. We would find a match. Since we found a match, we set matching true. We then we do, like, we remove all lines after matching line IDX. Fine, let's call it IDX for index. Then we would do compute Y pixel offset. Store that somewhere here. Which could replace this. Instead of doing this as a Boolean, if I really wanted to be hacky, I could set 0, and if it's not 0, then we know that we're actually, we found our thing. It doesn't really matter. This is a little bit more readable to do it this way, so I'll probably keep the Boolean. And then var, actually let's do Y offset. Offset. So that's 0, and we'll do for emerging chunks. And then what we'll always do is we'll always pass this in here. So if we do add line, we would do can I do this? Line dot bbox. It's always going to be this, yeah, right? Because this is the word during 1717. Yeah. Okay, so it's going to be 1 plus equals the offset. Boom. And 3. So we're going to improve those offsets and then append the line. Right, so well, if we find matching line, we can return the offset. All right, fine. I will do it that way. Zero is falsy. So if it's still 0, we just won't do it. So if we find the offset, we don't need to compute it because that's already getting returned. So we could do current page. Dot lines. Dot size. So that'll get us the size. Our index is going to be where to remove from. Well, if the lines match, actually, I guess it doesn't matter. We could remove starting at the index, which would remove the matching line. But then we immediately re-add the line that is matching with its offset. You could argue with, we move this. Actually, so if we're merging, we add the line. Else, we go look for it. So that way, once we know we're matching, then we're just adding lines with the offset. That's the happy path. Where like most of the time, hopefully we're here. If we're not there yet, if we're not in a mergeable state, then we go try to figure out where we can merge. If we found it, set ourselves true, and then let's go remove all those lines then. And this is after, because we're going to keep the matching line. So this line is going to get thrown away. We're not going to use it because we're going to keep the one that we have. But then the next line that we come through with, that one will just get appended. So we're going to throw away everything after it. Let me take a quick breather. Take a sip of coffee. I don't love my architecture here. It's a bit too complicated. It got a lot of nested if statements. I will refactor this and tighten it up. I do want to experiment with using AI tools for refactoring. I think that could be interesting to like get the business logic the way I like it, and then use an AI to say, hey, like, can you go rewrite this for me, make it better? And I wonder if that would be pretty good, because then instead of it trying to go out to its knowledge base of the internet to try to like guess what it thinks a good architecture would be for me, it already knows what I'm trying to accomplish with the code, and it can do a sensible refactor that maintains the same behavior. Just like I would say like, hey, let's rip all this out and move it down into C++. I think that's one thing, that's one pattern I've already done many times that I think I will continue with, is I get it working in GD script in Godot. But then ultimately I end up saying, hey, can we have this happen sooner? Right? So instead of it happening in GD script, like, hey, after we extract our text, like, hey, let's go do it here, right? Let's go parse the Hawker results. And instead of sending XML up to the front end, could we send like a structured object up to the front end? Because ultimately, I'm not doing this now, but ultimately what do we need, right? Like we need game state has a new page. And then, was it page text? I mean, page text is, yeah. So we got new page text. So now we're doing this whole like, I don't know, trying to figure out like where to position things, which I guess we would still need to do this. But we wouldn't need as much complexity. Like we shouldn't need the individual words. All the front end should need is like the line of text And then, like, you know. Yeah, I mean, actually, maybe most of this logic probably would stay the same then. This probably wouldn't change at all. We would just need to know, hey, is it a new paragraph? Is it an indent? Is it a title? So we can display it properly. And then, you know, a little bit of offsetting. The Z never changes, right? Yeah, Z never changes. But X and Y would. Yeah. So for line and, yeah. So this would all be the same, but everything else would change. All right, anyway, just some pre-architecting in my brain. Okay, so. We have our size there. Current page dot lines dot remove. After subscript index. So we have a Y start offset, any append array assign back, clear, count, duplicate, erase, fill, front, get. Is it going to be get? Come on. No. Of course it wouldn't be get. Why would it be get? Is make map Godot array get sublist or whatever that's called. Fine. Well, I guess it is a subarray. Where's the behavior here for this? What am I trying to do? Sub? No. Subarray of a listing G script. Slice 1, 2. Method added in Godot 3.2 for this purpose. Duplicates the subset described in the function. Int begin and end. Okay. Dot slice. So we do 0, comma. Oh, that's the offset. Damn it. I do need that index. You can return a tuple, right? Where is this? Current page. I'm shocked it didn't error until now. Oh, we could do var, and that's going to be an int. cd script function multiple returns. Multiple return values. I don't like that. That's dumb. All right, fine. Let's just do that. We'll get our matching line index. We'll do it that way. And we'll have to compute the offset separately. That's fine. We'll do it as two different steps. Maybe slightly cleaner code-wise anyway. Fine. So, in theory, we could do this. That might work. So we're basically saying, go take the current lines, get me a sublist of 0 up until that index, and then set it to the value of lines. That might be the easiest way of doing it, instead of trying to like go remove those lines. And then I could do this. Y offset equals compute Y offset. We'll just do line. Great, and that function is not found. So we could do func I think it's an integer return 0. Why? Expected closing new line, old line. Which is of type OCR line. There we go. All right, so, and then we would just return dot bbox 1 minus old line dot bbox 1. And for this, oops, too bad on the indent there. Our new chunk will start at the top of its image. Figure out how far we need to move down new rows of text. There. And that should be as simple as going and looking at the second element in the bbox list, which is going to be the Y, the first Y. And subtracting them from each other. The new one's going to... Wait, no. Because the new one... This is wrong. The new one could be something like 30. And the old one would be like 110. But these are the same line. So if the old is 110 as its and that should be that should always be true, because with the old one we're at the bottom of the image for where it's like the last line from the previous chunk image, and the new one's gonna be the first line or like the second line from the new chunk. So it'll always be this case that the old one will have a higher number than the new one. So actually, I stand corrected. I think it's gonna be that. Because now we're saying, hey, if we go line plus 1, instead of it being 30, it's gonna be like, I don't know, 44. But in this case, we're saying like, well, no, it shouldn't be, it's like 15 down. So we should be adding 15 to that. And the way we would do that would then go to, well, let's do 45. Let's actually call it 15 just to keep it simple. So that should be 125. Because we should be saying that it should be 15 below this. If it was 15 below that, it should now be 15 below this. Or in terms of, top to bottom, increasing number below. So if we do 110, so then the math on that should be 110 minus 30 plus 45. And just because I want to make sure I got my math right, I think it is, but you never know, right? 125. So then all we should have to do is add this number to the new ones. Which the way we would do that plus equals, yeah, I was already doing it. So we're going to add that offset, and that'll push it down to where it needs to be. Brilliant. Okay. Nice. So, offset's computed. This might need to be +1 here. No. Should be fine. This one doesn't have to have it itself offset because it's already correct. Its offset is 0, so it's already fine. So then everything's here except for find matching lines, which I guess because it's a class method, it's not throwing an error. It'd be kind of nice if GDScript would tell me that it doesn't like that. Because I just have to know now that current page, which is this. Here, I'll put this above compute metrics. And then this is going to be Basically like that. Find matching line. It's going to return an integer. Return 0. So, for line... Wait, why is it OCR manager line? I shouldn't have to do that. I should be able to just do an OCR line here, I think. I don't know why I needed to do that. I think because of copying and pasting things over. So for our OCR line in self.lines, dot what is it, slice? Let's do var start idx. It's going to be integer, and we will do self.lines.size -3. Let's do -4. So then we would do start index and then start index +3. In theory, that's the last couple of lines. So then we would do line text. And then this is the similarity thing. So the test suite uses this already. Where's our log individual results? Oh, this is... So I got an error here. That's good. Let me fix that real quick. On text scanned. Okay, so we should be able to do page num and chunk num. Just pass them through. Yes, 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 I know. This is throwing errors about things I know about. All right, so back up here. Right, so I wanted to go to the test suite to see. Yeah, where is that used? Here we go. There's our score. So we should be able to get our score here. Sorry. Current line. And the order here doesn't matter. So we can do current line. And then if score greater than 0.9, return shoot. we're not going to do this. We're going to do range start index +3. And then we will do var current line OCR line equals self dot lines current IDX. Let's do that. Why is it not liking that? Returns an array with the given range. Starts from 0, increases in 1 step. Could not resolve external class member page 1. I'm not calling page 1 anywhere. This is erroring for silly reasons. That's not an error. Let me close this and reopen it. I think it's just giving me the wrong error. There may be an error, or there may be no error. All right, done with coffee, switching to water. No errors. Right. All right, so we set our start index. I might have to debug this. I might be off by 1. Well, we're doing a range of those numbers, so just get me, you know, I don't know, 14, 15, 16, basically is what we're going to do. We go get that line, get the current line. We go get our text for both, pass them in, get a score. Again, current line and the line passed in. If our score is good, we return that index. Otherwise, we return 0. I'm doing 0.9 right now, but it could just as well be anything. If we get a 0, well, 0 is falsy, should be, so we should skip this. But if it's not, we say we're mergeable. All right, so here's what I'll do. Here's what I should do. So, if not, chunks mergeable, game state.log. I need to get rid of the underscore on this log. I keep meaning to do like a gentle refactor of the code base, and I just haven't. I think I've just been marching towards trying to get a functional version of this out there. Okay. Never found a line to match. Yeah, so we never found a line to match. So that'll tell me if we fail. And yeah, we can just run that as is. Now if we run the test suite again, we should send up our 2 chunks. And maybe this will work. This has been hanging here forever. Very nice. Very good. -K, so we're not skipping. I think I do need to rebuild. I think I made a small change to the C++ code, so we do have to rebuild. Let's see. Let's see if it fails. I love my test harness. Makes testing so much easier, not having to actually run the app. Not having to put on the VR headset every time. Whew. Never found a line to match. Okay. And then we get like a memory leak error or something. Out of bounds by index 4. You know, that's funny. Now, here's the thing. The first time we came through. So I need to account for that. Okay, let's do this. Let's put those there. Let's change this to can append lines. And if it's our first time through, we'll just set it to true. Because our first time through the loop, we can just say, hey, look, if we got a decent score, just add the lines. Offset's going to be 0, no biggie. So that would get rid of this stack trace of errors. And then I wonder, actually, did we get this error because this failed? It's possible. Now let's skip, since we don't need the C++ change. So actually, it is possible that's the whole error right there. I thought it might be something else, but it might not be. Let's just see. Hey, look at that. To put it simply, the consequences of being sales-driven. Yeah, so that the first one went through fine. The second one, again, so look, during this stage, market development must be, okay, we did not, in fact, find a match. But I don't have the log statement saying that it didn't find a match. Okay, for verbosity, let's do gamestate.log found good match. Score is score. And then we'll do games. Yeah, might as well just do it this way. Plus plus line text. Let's run that again. I suspect, I don't even need to look at this. I'll let that run. While that's running, I suspect what we merge. So what do we do? We never hit this line because we did merge. We computed the metrics, so we do them fresh. Do we do them fresh? Hopefully we do. Yeah, we run through it fresh. So we could flip something. We could say that something was indented, but then it wasn't. Would we ever do that? Well, we can find out. We can see if maybe there would be a bug here. But after that, we add page. Huh. So that should just work. We run through. Huh. GameState.log. Processing page. Chunk number plus chunk num. I should at least see the chunk number here in the logs. Be a little weird why it wouldn't. Chunk num 0. Oh, right. I went 0 based. I could just do if chunk num because 0 is falsy. But, you know, there's a, I don't know, there's a value in comparison there for readability. All right, that's probably it. Let's run it again. Now maybe it'll try to merge and we'll get a new error that we can go fix. Interesting that it found a good match. Also, why would it run multiple times? And then what do we end up with our final? We end up not merging. Never found a line to match. Found a good oh. Should it be 90? Oh, right, because we're doing our score, we're looking for like 90%. So it never found a good match. Okay. Weird that it said never found good match, even though we said we found multiple good matches. So we've returned index. I mean, if we said we found a good match, then we should have said we can append. We should have set our lines. And then we should have just added lines. Why didn't we? All right, well, I at least fixed it. I know this is going to fail. So what I should do is add a log statement. game state.log, comparing do /n to this. So let's see what we compare, and then we'll see what the score is. Yeah. All right. I really want to see if I can get this fixed in the next 10 minutes or so, and then call it a day on this. And then I will have to do a final test on the headset to make sure everything works correctly. And then do some code cleanup, decide, check to test to see if there's any performance issues. If there is, I may have to preemptively move it into C++. I don't think there would be. I think it'll be fast enough that it shouldn't matter. But hopefully there's no glitchiness, but hopefully the chunking's working, and then I can call this done. All right, so we did, to put it simply, here's the consequences. Chunk number 0. Comparing, to put it simply, to during this stage. Comparing chasm. Oh, okay, so that worked, right? Comparing during this stage to during this stage. We got above 90, got a 96. I think I'll leave it at 90 for now. So then we have, to put it simply, during the... Okay, so it detected that there was a paragraph change, which it shouldn't have. So something's wrong there on the math. Weird. Why would that be the case? Yeah, we're doing something dumb here. Because we have to put it simply, chasm period, but then instead of during, what is this nonsense? To capture this, where's my... Yeah, I was like, I should have a bunch of new results. I always hate how clicking that causes that to happen. Actually, I want to be top bottom here, right? So the first one's fine. To put it simply, chasm period during this stage. So the last one should be cut off because it did correctly OCR, like that is to create a pragma, but these got cut off, and so because they got cut off, we got some ugliness. In order to help this, one thing I could do if I really wanted to is I could take like the bottom 5 pixels or something like that and just like blur them out or something like that, like do high blur or something like that on them. But it shouldn't matter. Anyway, this should be a terrible line. Oh, well, hold on. So the first line that we found that was good. So that only worked because it worked by accident. Because if you look here, we have the word chasm period. We almost have a decent word there. It may actually have chosen that that was a good word. So we probably need, at a minimum, again, this code's a little bit unstable. Yeah, why is it? Godot, what are you doing? Why are you all yellow? Great. Cool. I guess I've got so many lines of code in this file that maybe it's getting confused. Let's say 3. Whoa, hey, it fixed itself. All right, so we're gonna get at least 3 decent words. I mean, in this case, this would be 3 decent words here. So if this situation was reversed, let's go 5. I don't like this because we could end up with weird cutoffs. In theory, if we were at like the end of a paragraph or something, where like we had like 3 words and it was the end of the sentence, there should be enough overlap that we're getting 2 lines. So this is the thing where like I'm probably going to try to improve this because it really should be like this first one probably should be bigger. Instead of, we should probably be striving to pick up like 5 or 6 lines and then get like 2 lines of overlap between them. I just worry because then it's like, okay, we're getting to the point where it's just going to be 3 chunks, but maybe that's fine. We just need the first chunk to go reasonably fast. Or maybe it's, you know, we do the first 15% to get a few lines up there. And then the second chunk, out of convenience, like redoes the first chunk. Like effectively would, if we're just going to get like the first 2 lines or something. I'll worry about that another time. So we did the right comparison though. We did ignore this first line. We compared this one. We found a match. So how did we mess up? If we go to find match. Okay, so I don't need this log statement. Score is, and then we should do line. We should do IDX is weird. String IDX. So that'll tell us what the index is. And then if I go down here, it might be that this is wrong. I could do gamestate.log. Replacing lines. And we could do, actually we could do current page. What am I doing? Current page dot page text. And then I could do page is now. All right, let's run that again. And what we should see is a clean replacement. And then if there is still an issue, there might be a B-box offset issue for some reason. What? We lost the first line? That doesn't happen normally. Let's try that again. That was weird. Let me kill a bunch of these test results. I don't think I need a lot of them anymore. A lot of these are old too. Ah, stop. What the heck happened here? Why is that? Oh, because its score isn't above 5. Because these are good words. Okay, fine. Let's go back to 3. Because it is about score, right? It's like there's a scoring element to that. That's why. It's dumb. So that is my fault. Because it's not just about words it found. It's like high scoring words that it found. There we are. So to put it simply, during the chasm, during. Okay, fine. Replacing that, which is what we had. Now it's, to put it simply, chasm. It's that. So we lost during. Right? I think we just I think we're off by 1 line, which would also should oftentimes result in a new paragraph detection there. So we had during. So we have to put chasm. We lost during, and we lost beachhead for reasons. Okay, so we've got like an off. We definitely have like an off by 1 issue in like 2 places. All right, so then let's just do line +1. If I do that, and I'll keep these images up on the left. I don't know why I keep closing them. I just need to see those to see visually what's supposed to happen. Right, so chasm, during, and we lose beachhead. I wonder if beachhead doesn't have that's possible. Low, low, high, high. It's low scoring, so we toss it. All right, I won't futz with that too much. So the solution there is let's take that down to 1. And now so to put it simply, chasm during this stage of market development. Then we've got beachhead, which OCR is terribly for some reason. Then we've got ist and gate. Okay, so it did it successfully. Now we have a new problem. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. That's all goodness. I don't need that anymore. And then in here, I mean, it's going to be a new paragraph issue, right? GameState.log, new paragraph. And we will do if J. Oh, yeah, okay. We could just do, now I just need to do string current line dot bbox. Yeah, let's do that. Do string and I'll have to figure out how to read this. And we'll do string. Okay. And then we'll do lines to compare 0.bbox. Ugly log statement, but I'll know what it means, and I'm going to delete it. Right, lines to compare 0 and 1. Okay. So the line that we're talking about, the one that is the new paragraph, is this line here. And it's saying it's 88. Comparing, it's 51. All right. Already, I don't like reading it this way. Here's what I could do. Could do that, and I could do current line dot words zero dot text plus and actually let's do that. Okay. Kind of ugly, but cool. Now I can replicate this. And I can do that. And then I can replicate that. And I can just change it to ones. All right, fine. Now let me rerun that again. It'll just be a little bit easier to read. Here we are. So our word is during, and it's saying its y is 88. Beachhead is 135. And what is my logic here, by the way? So if our distance from the previous one is more than... All right, let's do calculator time. So what we're saying is, because it should have been the current one, which is the during line, minus the chasm line. So current line minus that one, yeah, the 0th one. So we're saying like 88 minus 51. So we're 37 beyond the previous line. And then it should be like 135 minus 88 is 47. Yep. What is average y doing? Oh, we're averaging. Yeah, okay, fine. So then we're 47. So we're only like 10 off. And then we're saying, so that's distance to next is bigger. So distance to next times 1.6. 75. Really confused. Because we're saying that our distance from previous has to be bigger than that, and it's not. And what are we doing with the average y? Yeah, we're just looking at our first, just like I'm doing, looking at the first word. We're averaging those two. Right. Right. Okay, so actually what we're doing, we're saying like 88 plus 132 divided by 2. So we're saying the first one's actually 110. But this still should have worked. I guess I'm saying, like, actually, did these numbers line up with what we had before? So this is an example of so chasm it's saying is 51. Why is it saying that's 51? Right, these are all lines through them. Let me close those. Is that true? Why do these numbers keep changing? That shouldn't be the case. The chunking strategy didn't change. $74. Why are you getting an offset added to you. Ha 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 ha. Maybe that's it. So but now it should be it still doesn't make any sense. We should still be setting the lines correctly. Why would this have a different? We don't even have chasm here, right? It's on this file. And it's saying it's different. I mean, this is the test that literally just ran. Okay, I'm going crazy here. Close. Heck, even close these. That's the latest test. Let's run it again. And what is it saying the B-box info is? There's our test. We should open those in code. Why is that 51? Where is it getting that from? That doesn't make any sense. How is that set to 51? It should be 74. 13, 74. Why is it 96? 612. Wait, 51. 612. Wait, what? So that's the line details. But still. Oh. Oh. The line B box. We're using the lines info to set its offset. But when I use this, okay, that's fine. I think I'm just but this is still the line. Okay, it's the line B box info. Okay, so that's fine. So this is 51 for chasm, 96. Okay, that explains it. So this is the line info for chasm. And then during is 1788. Which is what it should be. And then this next one is 20. So we added a bunch to it. I do see one kind of issue here then. Like if I rendered these Haka results and I look at the B box, it might take this B box and run it to the floor here, when normally it wouldn't. So yeah, like for instance, okay, so the B boxes could be off. It could just, the B box info could just be off. All right, well, I think I'm gonna stop here. I'm well overdue to get lunch, but I gotta figure out this bug. I have theories as to why it's off and why we end up basically producing a gap here, because we think that there's a bigger gap than there is. And then once that's there, I'm going to test this against my other test scenarios. I only did it on one. So I would run each of them one by one and expect them to all work well. Actually, I think it's good enough, actually, that what I would probably do, again, what's today? Wednesday? So probably later this week I'll work on this. And what I probably would do is refactor this to do the entire page. And then yeah, so chunk the whole page and then run the tests and confirm that the final score actually matches up. In fact, since I am chunking the entire page, I might be able to get rid of this actually, rip this out and just alter my test suite to wait for the end of page. Maybe I'll do like an end of page signal. And only when there's an end of page signal do we then continue. But that'd be nice. So then I'm actually simulating real world. So that'd be cool. So I could do that, test all the chunking. Yeah, this way also, like, I'm testing the chunking with my test suite instead of like the test suite ignores chunking, and then if there's a bug here, I wouldn't notice it. So that'd be a good thing to do. So I'll probably do that. So make this a for loop to slice it up into chunks and then run them each. Run each of those through the test suite. Expect all the scores to still match up as they were. Do bug hunting to fix some things like this. And if that's working, yeah, get it tested on the headset. Make sure it's all good. And then that's it. That's done. Harder than I thought it would be to get this far. As always, it always seems like things are harder than they feel like they should be. I think I am making life hard on myself. I think I've made some architectural decisions that are more complicated than they should be. I'll have to stew on that and see if there's simpler solutions, but I think this is going to work. I just need to resolve some bugs. So anyway, thank you for those of us who hung out. Scroll, hope you're doing well. And I will likely, is that true? Monday? How's Monday looking? Because I keep saying that I'm gonna, like, when I'm gonna stream next, and then I find out, no wait, I've got a conflict. Well, Monday's a holiday, but I think I'm gonna stream anyway. So I will probably chat with you on Monday. Thanks for hanging out.